Hey guys, guess what? I'm back again with another tutorial real quick. This is my brand new Wicked Skull stencil set. It also includes my textured stencil. So what you're getting basically is four different Wicked Skull stencils. The three single skulls are roughly around 3 by 4 inches each. They're made from a very thin mylar so that they'll fold and wrap around your RC bodies or whatever it is you want to paint. And because they're so thin, they lay very flat and stop paint from going up under them. What I'm doing right now is I'm just doing a light dusting in black, doing an outline so you guys can see what these stencils look like. And the material that I'm spraying on is the exact same mylar that I use in my laser cutter to cut these stencils. So I'm going to do my tutorial on them. These are Wicked Skulls, and the reason I call them that is because they're all pretty sinister in appearance. Especially the one in the center, that's like a psychotic skull. He's just as wicked as they come. The other two skulls that are full size, the one with the single eye, that pupil is very, very tiny, and he's just, he's already missing one eye, he's missing teeth, his skull is all cracked open. He was a very, very vicious character, if you want to say that. But these stencils are fantastic. You'll be able to use them over and over and over again. And I'm pairing the three full sizes and the multiple skull stencil set along with the textured stencil for a great price. You'll see the listing for it in the description below. There's a link that will take you to my eBay store if you want to make a purchase for them. I ship them free worldwide, so you can get them and I can ship them out for you same day. There's no delay. I always have them in stock. Right now what I'm doing is I'm taking my Wicked Black and I'm closing off certain areas. I'm adding some shadows and darkening up certain areas to bring these particular skulls to life. This is basically a process, and even without any real work, they have some pretty good detail to them. So if you were just spraying them to ghost them into some flames, there's really not a lot of work that you would have to do. But if you really want to bring these to life, you go ahead and add these shadows and these highlights, and if you pull out that texture stencil that's included with this, you'll see a lot more realism in the skull, because the textured stencil really will add a lot of depth and multiple colors. If you use them, it will make the bone look more realistic. That's what that textured stencil is great for. Right now my black, as always, is mixed 1-to-1, 1 part paint, 1 part reducer. I'm using the Badger, is it 501 or 105? I always get mixed up on the number, but it's a workhorse. I have 4 of them, and they just work really, really well. I'm spraying probably at about 25 to 30 psi. Let's see what else is going on here. Of course, I'm doing the voiceover after. When I'm painting, I have these 2 large exhaust fans that are actually in front of me while I'm painting. So even with a microphone on, those 2 fans, they create a lot of noise. So it's easier for me to just edit the video and do the voiceover afterwards. So on the smaller stencil, the one that I'm outlining right now, I'm just adding a little bit of shadow and texture tends to, like, if you outline everything in black just to give it a light dusting, you can add that separation that's needed to give you a little bit of depth of field. And of course, like I said, shadow and highlight. As you're working, you'll see where those shadows and those highlights are needed depending on where your light source is coming from. What I'm doing now is I'm using a transparent light brown to basically add the color to the skull. If you notice, I'm not spraying the eyes. I'm going around the eyes because I want the eyes to punch a little bit more. And the teeth on these skulls, some of them, I want them to punch a little bit, so I'm going around them. I really want to use a white to punch those up just a little bit more. But of course, this is, user preference. You can pretty much do whatever you want. Usually I would have sprayed a candy color, green or blue or red, yellow, whatever I felt like to mask these up and change the color of these skulls. I don't usually do too many skulls in natural tones. I personally, I think it's kind of boring. But it's always good to experiment, whether you're using an original color or a candy color. And don't forget to take a look on when you're on our eBay store. We have a lot of different airbrush stencils for the RC industry. They're all cut small so that they can be used on just about any RC that you want to paint, and the price is very good. We also take custom orders for our stencils. So if there's something that you don't see, you can always send me a message here on YouTube, or drop me an email on Facebook. On my eBay store. Doesn't matter how you get in touch with me. We're usually pretty quick with our stencils. So if you have something with a logo or a skull design, or whatever it is you think you guys might want to use for a stencil, we got flame stencils. I got other textured stencils, other skull stencils. I have stars and honeycombs and dot matrix, all different types of stencils. So there's no limit to what you can do. So right now, this is the textured stencil that's included with the 4 skulls. And as you can see, I'm just going over this. Since I've already used the light brown, now I'm using the darker brown to add more texture and more licks to each one of these skulls. And this is where you take your work to another level. You bring it up just a notch. And the detail is up to you. You can work on this for an hour. You can work on this for 5 minutes. It's up to you. I'm doing this rather quickly so that I can just give you a general idea of how to use these stencils and the types of effects that you can actually get from using these texture stencils. So now I'm going to come in with the Wicked White, which is also reduced 1-to-1. If you've noticed, I've used black, light brown, transparent, dark brown, transparent. Now I'm using white. I haven't had to clean my brush at all yet because of the way I reduce my paint. I have very, very little tip dry, and these paints flow pretty well, and I'm spraying on a very thin mylar. So the paints flow really well. They're not running, they're not dripping all over the place, and they're drying rather quickly. I am using a heat gun too, by the way. That heat gun helps me to paint anywhere between 5 and 8 bodies a day. If I have them all prepped, I can do 8 bodies. If I haven't prepped my bodies the night before, then it's usually about 4 to 5 bodies a day that I'll paint. But it helps to have the right equipment. My airbrushes stay clean. My paints are reduced when I'm ready. I have all of my stencils ready in that hand. I have a great evac system to get all of the dust and paint out of my work area. And, I have a great a great crew who helps me out whenever I need certain things to be done. Right now I'm going over all of the transparent colors, which was the transparent light brown and dark brown with the white. But I'm not gonna go too dark on the white. I'm pretty much just ghosting those transparent colors, and I'm going back over the teeth and the eyes because I want those to punch just a little bit more once I apply this black background. So, I mean, usually I would throw some flames or something back in back of them because I don't like skulls floating on the background. I like a textured background or something else that's moving in my background, so that it's more to life, it's more real, it has more movement. But for this particular tutorial, I really just want you to see what these skulls could possibly look like. And like I said, this is just one variation, something I did really, really quickly. And I wanted you to see what that texture stencil could possibly look like. And in order to do that, I really wanted to just focus on those particular two features. The skull itself with some texture and an outline. That way you can really focus on that. I didn't want to do the flames and everything else to pull your eye away from looking at the skull. So at this point, I'm just going to back it with a couple coats of black, so you can take a look and see what this thing looks like. Okay, so here we go. The heat gun did warp this plastic, this mylar, just a little bit, but not much at all. And I'm gonna let you take a look at some of the clips, and there you go. So you get these 4 skull stencils, and you get the textured stencil all together in the Wicked Skull set. It's an awesome set. It's on my eBay store right now. Just follow the link in the description and you're good to go. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll catch you next time with the next stencil or body painting tutorial.